Hi, guys, and welcome to the first episode of This Too Shall Pass podcast. This is a podcast that was created by my mom, Becky, and I from the Facebook group Affirming Always, which I created almost a year ago now, about 9 months ago, which is super cool. It's grown to over 10 different countries, and we have over 1,000 members. And that's kind of, how we came up with the idea of starting a podcast to kind of grow our reach with that.
It has been almost a year, hasn't it? Holy mackerel.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
insane.
Yeah, I think it was March.
It was March. That's crazy. So kudos to you, first of all. Hi, everybody. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I hope you've had an awesome start to your new year. And if you haven't, there's good things to come. I know there are. I'm Becky. I am Kaylin's mom. So like she said, she's the founder of Affirming Always. I am the co-founder. In a little while, closer to the end of the episode, we're going to go into a little bit more detail to kind of introduce ourselves so you can get to know us a little better. But we wanted to start off and kind of talk about what the podcast is and how it came to be. So that's...
Yeah. So as I kind of mentioned, this idea came to my mom and I after Affirming Always kind of started growing really quickly, and we started noticing really what an impact it was having in people's lives in a small way on a day-to-day basis. And the group, for a short description, is created by women for women, but free from any political or religious, sexist, any type of negative or discriminatory label. It's just a place for women to just be and vent and seek, inspiring content, funny content, positivity, just kind of added to your timelines. I think a big problem with social media nowadays is that just even unintentionally, it's so negative. The expectations on you, the negative things happening in the world are so exposable to you. So we wanted to do something to add positivity, and then it just kind of grew. So for the new year, we wanted to expand our reach of that in a new way.
Definitely. And when Kaylin first mentioned the podcast to me, I was super excited. I've never done a podcast before, so welcome to my first.
You have something in your mouth.
Yeah, I definitely had something in my mouth. Sorry. Yes, I did. Not anymore. I was definitely excited. So welcome to my first podcast because I've never done one. So I was super excited. And it's funny because I think over the past, 5 to 6 months, Kaylin, we've had like several FaceTime. Well, we've always FaceTimed, but a lot of FaceTime calls where we would either be talking about Affirming Always and kind of plans that we had, or we would just be having dialogue about stuff going on in our lives, kind of bouncing things off of each other. And when we're done with our phone call, we're like, damn, that would have been a great podcast episode. So like, there's been so many of those where we're like, I wish we were videotaping this because that would have been so cool. But here we are videotaping our first one. So I am super excited. And although it was created from the Facebook group Affirming Always, I think it's definitely going to have a broader topic selection and audience. So we're hoping to gain more members to Affirming Always, but also gain a broader audience through this podcast. So it's super exciting for us just to kind of see where this goes and for you all to be part of this, because you women from Affirming Always, where this really took off from, are just absolutely amazing. You've made us what we are today. So
Absolutely. I think really overall the goal is to kind of heal ourselves, not necessarily in things happening between each other, but I just think we've both experienced some very like raw, real, painful, sometimes amazing shit, like to be so transparent. And I think that a lot of times, especially between generations, like even if it's only a small age gap, I feel like so many times, at least from my friends and people in my generations, we assume that like the things we're going through, you guys or our grandparents or our friends' parents or whoever hasn't gone through because they maybe didn't have social media or they didn't have the aspects that we're dealing with of the situation, but it doesn't mean that you didn't go through those same emotions in whatever way they were happening for you in your life. So I think it's going to be really therapeutic for like us to relate to each other in a way where you can kind of see how my maturity and my emotions have developed as like a young woman versus a child in my experiences, but I can also like find new ways to relate to you that I necessarily wasn't able to when I was younger. And like, we're not licensed therapists,
Nope.
but we do hope to have some on at some point in time.
Full disclosure, though, yeah, no licensed therapist here. This is all personal experience.
Yeah, but it's really to kind of go into our journey and kind of spirituality. You know, I think that my mom raised me in an environment where like I was aware of what religion was, and I was aware of like a higher power and the importance of being a good person and like moral characteristics, but I don't think religion was like a super strong theme in my household to where I feel as though personally it's the end all be all of how things operate. I think there's more to it. I think that it could be part of it, but also there's just so much more we don't see. And that's kind of what got me interested in spirituality. And I know you've been on that journey for a little while now, which has done you so good. Like everybody in your life sees it. So I think, you know, getting to grow with that with each other on this, but also introduce those ideas and ways of healing to other people that maybe don't know about them or just have heard about them but don't know where to start. Like this could be a good place for them too.
100%. I totally agree. And when we get towards the end and I talk more kind of about just a little bit about who I am, I'll just share a little bit about my journey at that point and kind of how I got into it and where I see that going for me. Everybody's journey is different, totally different. And I want to talk a little bit about what's worked for me. I've shared a lot of that with Kaylin, which some of it she's taken on, but then she learns her own things that work for her too. For this first episode, we kind of just wanted to give an overview of the topics I think that we're going to be talking about or hope to talk about during the different podcast episodes that we're doing and just kind of set the tone for it. Is that your dog barking in the background?
One
One
of
of them.
them, yeah, we're done. So we have, you might be able to see him
Oh,
on the
yeah.
couch back there.
Oh, so cute.
They're very sweet, but they're both young, so like their energy levels together, and they haven't seen each other in like a month, and that's Luna's favorite dog friend. Luna's
Oh,
my
so they're
dog.
having a doggy play date. That's good.
They are a week long dog.
Oh, lucky you. That's all right. I'm dog sitting for 2.5 months. So, and I have no dogs. So,
And you don't even you like dogs from afar, but you're not a dog owner type of person. So that really goes to show your heart for whoever you're dog sitting for, because the fact that
true.
you're
This is a
taking
good one, though.
on
This is, if I'm going to,
so sidebarred, it's
that's right. We'll
crazy.
get back on track. But if I'm going to dog sit for any dog, it's this one. This is a good one. But,
Or medium
or medium
papas.
papas.
Cheerios. Like,
Yes, Cheerio, little Cheerio. My youngest daughter calls him Chewbacca because he looks like Chewbacca. But anyway, so we kind of wanted to talk about the range of topics that we hope to talk about over the course of this podcast, and hopefully having some guests that we can bring in. We will do kind of a warning before each episode that may raise some triggers for some people, because a lot of what we're talking about when it's just Kaylin and I, we're going to be talking from our own experiences. And I think we have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. And some of those are triggers to some people. We're going to talk about domestic violence. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about, all sorts of things, medical issues, health scares, and just life in general. But we just want to make sure if those are sensitive topics for some of you, that there's no need for you to tune in if you feel like it's just not going to be healthy. Your mental health comes first. Your health comes first. So we just want to make sure that we kind of let you know what the podcast is going to be about before we go into it. And then you can kind of make the choice if you want to listen to that episode or go to the next one. But also being very open to all of you. If you have ideas or expertise, please let us know, because we would
yeah.
love to have guests, which I think we'll talk about some ideas that we have. But we'd love to have people on to share. Again, we're not licensed therapists, but we might love to have a licensed therapist on that can talk about work stress, life stress, all sorts of
Others.
things,
Yeah.
all sorts of things. Um, so I just wanted to put that out there that we will kind of go over what the podcast is about so you can make a choice if it's the right one for you to listen to. And Kaylin and I are funny too, so I think we'll try to keep the vibe light when we're able to. Well, I think we're
Yeah,
funny.
definitely. It is equally about uplifting and healing as much as it is accepting and understanding trauma. Like it's not one more than the other. I don't want to set the idea that this is going to be, negativity or anything like that. Just want everybody to take care of their mental health. And I know when I've been in certain situations struggling with certain things, hearing certain topics would make me super uncomfortable and just put me
Mhm.
at unease, I guess would be the right way to say it. So we definitely just want to make sure that if something isn't the right fit for you, your support of even listening thus far into the first episode is really cool. And also, if you're, a woman in this community interested in joining Affirming Always, which is a much more interactive way, you're able to get involved, and that way you can really participate and meet new women within the community. Like we said, 11 different countries, almost all 50 states, which is
Meeting women
so,
all over the
so cool.
world, not just in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if that's something of interest to you, and maybe necessarily this isn't your format, but you'd love to just be a part of that community, all the details to subscribe to this podcast as well as join that page will be listed in the description of every episode. Um, and yeah, so I kind of want to talk about the name for a minute. This too shall pass. Um, I'm gonna kind of let my mom talk a little bit about what that means to us and how that is literally branded to
Literally.
us.
Literally. Literally.
Literally. So yeah, do you want to kind of talk about how this name
Yeah.
came to be?
So Kaylin is my oldest. Um, and as she was growing up, there was a period of time, long period of time actually, when I was a single mom to Kaylin. Um, and one of the things from the time that she was very, very little that I used to tell her, and as I tell her to this day, actually, when she calls me and she's struggling with something, but growing up, if there were issues or struggles, the one thing I would always say is, Kaylin, this too shall pass. And that kind of became our mantra to each other. So um, we decided to brand ourselves with that, as Kaylin said. So when Kaylin turned 18, um, we got matching tattoos. I knew she was going to get one anyway, so I figured we would do it together. Yep, there it is. So we both have them in the same spot on our sides, and it's just a reminder to us, one of our connection to each other, I think, but also that mantra of no matter what you're going through in life, this too shall pass. So Kaylin had said to me, Mom, what do you think about this name? And I think it's awesome. I think it's very relevant to Kaylin and I and our relationship. And I think it's relevant um, to just what's going on in all of our lives as women, and just to know that, one, you're not alone in what you're going through. There's other people. And two, you know what? This will pass. This will pass.
Definitely. It is. I remember that I don't remember specifically what was going on in school, but I remember there was like a few week long period in middle school that I was getting picked on, and like it was just really freaking difficult for me. And you printed out and taped inspirational quotes to my bedroom door, like when I got home one day. So that way, and like I remember the main one I remember was this too shall pass, and then the God grant me the
Mm-hmm.
serenity to accept things, that quote. And it's like, one, I think it's pretty badass. We have matching tattoos. I think that that's so cool, like hot mama status. But also, it's something that like you've literally consistently said to me for so long that it's a belief for me. Like it is ingrained in me. Like the same way that you have to practice like positive self talk, and like you say it long enough, you'll believe it. Like you have placed that in me so long enough that like I believe everything will pass. I think I've proven to myself with my own experiences that like there was times where I was like, if I can get through this, like I can get through
Anything.
freaking anything.
Anything.
So
Absolutely.
that really holds true. And each episode will kind of focus on a different aspect of our own personal journeys, both as individuals and together. You know, as we mentioned, we have different experiences. My mom has a special needs son. She's been a single parent. She has, you know, had to watch me go through significant traumas, which, as you know, I'm not a parent, but if it was traumatic for me, I can't imagine how my mom probably like felt sitting there, you know, watching me go through that. But then also, you know, being from different places in our lives at this time, like you being a single mom at this point in your life, but me living in the city and like going through so many things here on my own for a while. I think it's going to be interesting to see our perspectives and kind of how we've gotten help through each other with that, issues we maybe, you know, had with each other that we've been able to really overcome, because I think our relationship has drastically improved like over the last 2 years
Agreed.
or
Agreed.
so. um so yeah.
So, and with that, talking about more a little bit about what we hope to accomplish with this podcast and some of the people that we hope to bring on, um, is, and some of this is, you know, I'll talk about some of the tools that I've learned to use on my journey, but you know, to bring a therapist in one time maybe, and we can even get ideas from the group as to what specific topics they're interested in hearing from a therapist, maybe on coping skills in certain areas. Reiki, if you're interested in Reiki, bringing somebody on that talks about Reiki and their belief in Reiki and how it helps. Manifesting, I'm all about manifesting, and I love it. So maybe to bring, I have somebody.
I literally just texted you the other day, like
Yes,
manifestation is
yes.
freaking
And I have
crazy. This
somebody
shit
specific in
works.
mind that will blow your minds if I can get her to come on and do an episode, and I think she will. What else? Just other tools:
Journal,
journaling, meditation,
meditation.
yoga, whatever, you know, just different tools that really can help you, that maybe you've never delved into before or thought about, and maybe it's not for you. And if it's not for you, hey, cool, I'd love to hear what is for you, because maybe it's something I can learn about. You know, there's things out there that I don't know that I would love to learn. And again, so some of those tools, but also like Kaylin said, delving into, she's a victim of domestic violence, talking about some domestic violence, talking about mental health issues. I suffer from anxiety and depression myself. Um, and a lot of people, I think, just feel like they're alone. So to be able to have these dialogues and for women to watch and be like, holy shit, I thought I was the only one going through that, and I'm not.
Not to be seen as weak for women with those issues, not to be seen as a weak woman or a victim just because we went through that situation, or we have to take medication for this, or we have anxiety and depression. Because like I I feel like I have so many mental things that I'm like battling on an everyday basis, but I also look at like the things I went through and I'm like you can't freaking stop me. Like it does not mean weak. And I think to give a face to those feelings and those emotions and like those realities as women, especially in a day and age where like I feel like women are at constant, especially if you're a woman with mental health issues, women are at a constant battle at trying to justify how we feel in this world without it being because of our period or because we have mental health issues or simply because we're more emotional because we're women.
Mhm.
And I think that just kind of giving a face to like real woman, real life, real shit that's happening, but also like real achievements, real success, real overcomings to all those things is going to be super cool to talk about.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Totally.
What, like, I have a question. So, like, what do you personally hope to get out of this, like, experience doing the podcast together?
So, kind of a lot of what you just talked about. I guess a lot of things come to mind. One is, to be able to do this with you being my now adult daughter. I think is amazing. I think that's some cool shit. So to be able to do this with you and have these dialogues with you, and to be able to be in this forum with you, nothing I ever thought I never thought I'd even do a podcast, but the opportunity to do one with you is just, I love you to pieces. So this is so cool. The Affirming Always group, I remember like, all right, let's just get to 100 members. All right, we're at 100. Let's get to 250. Let's get to 500. Oh my God, when we hit 1,000 members, it was incredible. And when you go on the site now, it says 1,000 members, but it doesn't tell you how many more after that because I think it stops at a certain place before.
Every 100
Yeah.
now it
So
adds.
every day we're still adding it. And again, it's because of the women that are part of the group that we have that many people. And the feedback that I've gotten, whether it's people that are vulnerable to share their stories on that page, or people that have reached
Mhm.
out to me via Facebook Messenger, or people that know me via text message. I actually just went to yoga with my sister-in-law, and she was saying that she was with her friend on New Year's Eve who mentioned to her how amazing and helpful this group is for her. So the feedback is, it's worth it. It makes it all worth it. And
The
we did a
fundraiser.
GoFundMe page to raise money for a family around Christmas time, and we had people nominate families, and we randomly chose one, and we were able to donate. And really, it's a woman that lost her son. This was her first Christmas without her son, and we were able to gift her about $400, which was pretty amazing. Just people having a safe space, and I feel like a lot of people do feel the safe space based on what they've shared. I'm an open book. I mean, I've shared my story on it, and so have several others. And whether you're just perusing through and reading what other people are saying, whether you're liking posts or whether you're sharing your story, it has been so heartwarming to me and has made this so worth it. And that's part of why I'm so excited to expand this into the podcast or what other avenues we can do, because this is absolutely incredible. Like you said, over 10 countries, and the feedback has been incredible. So I just hope to continue on this with you and continue to grow and just help as many people as we can help. They help me too. I mean, reading what they have to say, there's days when I'm like, I'm having the shittiest day, and I know I don't feel like anybody else ever feels like this, and somebody will post something and I'm like, oh wow, the timing is impeccable. That's perfect timing. I really needed to see that right now.
Yeah, you'll post something and somebody else will comment like, wow, this is what I
Yeah.
needed
So
today. Like,
I hope that answered your question. I know I kind of went off a little bit, but just to
no, it
continue for it
did.
to grow and just to help. Not once have we had to ask anybody to leave the group or anything like that, because we've made it clear we want this to be a non-judgmental zone, and everybody has been
Yeah.
110% respectful of that. Absolutely.
Supportive,
And
encouraging.
that's amazing to me. And we need that in this world. We need that.
Hmm.
We need that. So that's
Yeah.
what I hope to get out of it. How about you? I'm going to put that back on you.
Well, to add on to what I said earlier about it, I think that especially in the last 2 years, like I've gone through a lot of, sorry for these
That's, hey, you know
dogs.
what? It's all right.
But I've gone through a lot of like life changes in the last 2 years, so many of which super positive, super positive. But I sometimes like really struggle to feel grounded, and I really struggle to like feel like I'm grasping my footing kind of anywhere, because every time I kind of get used to something, whether it's a job or a house or a friendship or a health status or whatever the case may be, like it changes as soon as I kind of start to allow myself to like feel comfortable in whatever it is. And affirming always for the last like 8, 9 months or so has been something that's like so consistent for me. And I haven't necessarily, like, there's been a couple weeks where I've taken social media hiatuses and I wasn't as active on it as I'd like to be, as the founder. But everyone else still kept it active and everybody else still kept it going, and it didn't fall short of members, and people didn't stop like supporting each other without like me kind of having to participate. Like people were getting their own things out of it, and it's kind of given me this deeper sense of purpose and just fulfillment, I guess, to like see that I can make a difference, because I struggle with, like, I don't know, I'm like stumbling a lot, but
Okay.
I don't know how to phrase it. Like, I feel like I've seen a lot of really ugly sides of the world, and I've seen a lot of beautiful sides too, but I've seen so much of the ugly on repeat in such a short amount of time that like it kind of wavered this like filter I have on the world and of people and on my capability to make any meaningful impact in something so big and so bad, you know? And the way Affirming Always has grown, and then I hope this podcast will continue to grow, it makes me feel like I can see a measurable
Mhm.
positive impact that I am making. And it like fills in some color of that like gray filter that I feel like I see a lot of things through that lens, if that makes
Yes.
sense. I don't know if I explained that well, but that's like the best way I could think
And
to
I
explain
mean,
it.
I'm super proud of you because obviously I know a lot of the challenges that you've faced. I've been on the other end of the phone many times, um, and
Every
well, every time. And I am super proud of you and this accomplishment. And where look where we are. You know, now we're over 1,000 members, and now we're trying to kind of start off this podcast, and that's because of you. So you should be so proud of yourself and your place in this world and the purpose that you bring and the people that you're helping, because you absolutely are. So you're welcome.
Tell us who you are, Mama.
Ah,
Let's
all
make it
right.
really
I'm
really
going to
upbeat.
share. Oh, well,
This is like how I don't like get emotional or tearful, is I'm just like, okay,
that's
next.
okay. Hey, you know what? There might be episodes where we're tearful. That's life. We're real people. We're real people living in a real world.
I cry every day,
So, you know,
so
I'm gonna give a short version, but I will give a brief overview of who I am and how I kind of got to where I am. I'm Becky. I am Kaylin's mom. Once again, she is my oldest. By the time you watch this podcast, she will be 23. I know how that's really hard to believe that I have a 23-year-old. Just
it
um,
is. Ooh, look
I am a mom of
good.
four. I also have a 15-year-old Justin. I have a 12-year-old Jake, and I have a 9-year-old Carly. All super awesome kids. I am the mom of a significantly medically challenged special needs child. He is total care. He is, I mean, diapers, tube fed, non communicative, does not walk, doesn't talk. Aside from being tickled and laughing, really doesn't communicate, but such a joy, such a love, and has brought so many incredible people into our lives, and for that I am so thankful. Um, but I won't lie, it's not easy. I'm at a point where I can't lift him anymore. Going places becomes challenging. But with that being said, not only am I the mom of four, I am the married mother of four, and my husband is absolutely amazing in helping to take care of Justin. Um,
He is the
he
best
is
dad. D Money takes care
He is.
of
He's good. He's
business.
good. And Justin is just such a happy boy. And, you know, I always say a lot of people struggle with whether you have a special needs child or something else. And nobody's journey is harder than anybody else's. It's just different. And that's my main thing that I try to teach my kids is Justin's tough, but other people are in certain situations where their situation is tough too. And it doesn't make my situation any harder than theirs. It just makes it different. So, real quick on how
Mhm.
I kind of got it started on what I call my spiritual journey, is last. I think every COVID kind of took a hit on everybody. So I'm a case manager. I work for the state of Connecticut Department of Developmental Services. So I work with like adult Justins and their family and helping to service them. And when COVID hit, we started working from home. And essentially, my department, we just never went back. We're still working from home. And I think it's because they realized that they don't need us in the office. It's cheaper to keep us from home. And I think last year, around the beginning of the year, it kind of hit me. I kind of hit a really dark spot where I kind of got really depressed, lonely in the sense that I was home every day by myself, working from home, and just kind of that unknown of, am I ever going back to work? Is this what it is for me? Um, so I did a 21-day challenge with somebody who I really, I love her podcast. I love her books. Her name's Gabby Bernstein, and she does a 21-day New Year's challenge, and I did it. And in that challenge, I learned tools that I've never done or never tried ever in my whole entire life. I always considered myself, I believe in God, I believe in heaven and all that. I'm not uber religious. I grew up going to church. I don't go to church now. But this really got me into different tools to use, manifesting, meditation, journaling. I have a collection of crystals. I love crystals. And just kind of a different way to cope when I'm struggling. I feel like I have new tools to go to, whether that's meditating, whether that's journaling, whether that's, going to yoga, just different tools that I never really tried or experienced before. And I've found such a difference in myself and my ability to cope. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's days when I want to shout to the heavens above and scream, and I do. I mean, I have my days, we all do, but I feel like those days are lesser
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I've learned the tools to help myself when I feel that anxiety and depression coming on. So for me, that's been huge, and I hope something, moving forward, that's more that I can share with the audience if it's something that they're interested in. I am by no means any expert in anything. I can only share how it's helped me and kind of what I do. Um,
Not an expert, but I'd say you're definitely a credible source, because this isn't something like super old to you, but you've made a consistent change and a consistent
mhm.
habit of protecting your energy and guiding your own way through life in this new sense. So I feel like definitely like can't claim you're an expert, but I also feel like you're somebody who's done the work, seen, the rewards internally, externally, whatever it may be of, starting this journey. So I definitely feel like you're like a credible source for
Absolutely.
it.
And it's been an incredible journey for me. I mean, even asking whoever you want to call it, God, source, universe, spirit, just for signs. I mean, whether it's signs from my loved ones or just signs that, you know what, I'm going to be okay. You ask for signs, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I've received them, whether it's like I want to see a bird, like a blue bird, and then it's just kind of been a crazy experience for me, but one that I've really taken on and that I really enjoy. It works for me. So again, it might not be everybody's thing, but for me it works, and I'm open to sharing that with anybody who's interested. So that's about me. All right, so Kay, your turn.
Yeah, I think it's really special that we get to work through these things together and talk about them. I think that we've both done a lot of work to get our mental health to a better place, but now we're kind of somewhere where it's like, okay, how can we take this to the next level and help other people? But as a college student, 20, about to be 23, I'll be 23 the day this episode drops. Happy birthday to me, Capricorn gang. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but as a college student, living in literally the most expensive city in the country, New York, last time I checked, was named the most expensive city in the country, while trying to kind of move my life forward from a series of really unfortunate events. I think this podcast is going to bring me a lot of peace. It's going to bring my mom a lot of peace to watch me heal, and vice versa, I think. And I've personally dealt with a lot of chronic health issues. I've had so many scares in the last 2 years of life-changing diagnoses that have been said and taken back and said and taken back, and just from thinking I need surgery to thinking like just a million medications, hospitalizations, monthly blood draws, like everything you can imagine. Not nearly as serious as some things other people are dealing with, but just out of the blue for me took a huge toll on my life, kind of undergoing all these health issues, leaving a domestic violence relationship, and kind of not only what that was like for me in it, but how that is still affecting me, every day. I'm super lucky because I have the most incredible person of a partner I've ever met. in my life. Like I'm super grateful for my boyfriend and how his patience has been kind of unmatched throughout my healing journey and support, but it's obviously something I'm still trying to work through. Nobody can really do that type of work for you. Being laid off 4 times and not knowing like where I'm going to live or how I'm going to move or how I'm going to pay my rent. Obviously I can always go home, but just the stress of having to like figure those things out with no job here. And, of course, there's more. I've lost friendships. I've dealt with mental health issues. I'm undergoing testing soon to kind of bring some clarity to some mental health issues I've been dealing with for a pretty long time now. So I think to be able to just have a safe space similar to Affirming Always, but almost in a more like raw and unfiltered, kind of way to talk about it. This is going to be super, super good.
I agree.
So I feel like that was a really good introduction as like a first episode. If anybody is interested in subscribing to future episodes, you'll be able to kind of listen to This Too Shall Pass on any streaming platform that you would listen to podcasts on. You can subscribe through our website, which will be linked below. There's an email subscription. And if you're interested in joining Affirming Always, I'll post details for that as well. Thank you for listening. We're open to feedback. But if you're going to be mean, don't try it. Because if you come for my mama, I'm going to come for you. So don't post nothing crazy about my mama. Not that there's anything crazy to post. But, there's trolls out there. And you can post what you want about me. I'll cry and get over it. But post about my mama,
My
down.
Love you, girl.
I know it's scary when I get like that, mama, but I gotta hold it down.
I love you, girl.
Love you too. Thank you guys. We shall talk to you soon. And remember, whatever you might be going through, this too shall pass.
Absolutely. Good night.
Night.
Bye.